Bookstahuda! Hello! Welcome back to my actual setup. This is the first video I've filmed since the Let the Books Find You at the Right Time video. And so I have around me, which you can't really see, all of the books that I have started at one point in time, decided that they were not the right book for me at the time, and then put aside and found something else. And it's becoming a problem because I'm in the middle of a ton of books. So this is not even my complete TBR, but it's all of the books that I've started, even enough to be considered having started. Like, some of them I'm only in a few pages, some of them I'm in halfway. So I started Across the Universe by Beth Revis once at a park. I got maybe like a chapter in or something, and it just wasn't the right time, but I've heard great things about this book from so many people, and I listened to the podcast 88 Cups of Tea with Yin Chang. I listened to the episode with Beth Revis, and I really enjoyed her interview, so I do want to give this another go. I'm just not interested in these kind of stories right now. I'm not sure why. I'm more interested in adult fantasy than young adult at the moment, so I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but I'm not giving it away yet because I still feel like I might want to read it sometime. Herschels by Dan Wells. This book was recommended to me by a friend who I met at a movie theater. She and I were both seeing the Mortal Instruments movie for the second time. This was a book she recommended to me. I got a kind of far into it, and it was interesting. I just didn't continue for whatever reason. Maybe I was still in school at that point. So I do want to finish this because I respect her opinion and I think she knows what she's talking about with books. So here it is. Next, Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. Oh, I thought I was further. I'm on page 174, and you know, it's pretty big font. I'm in chapter 19. And I have the pretty Target edition with the lovely art of Selena and Rowan. I do want to finish this, but I think I'm gonna wait until the next book is out, or until the moment grabs me when I'm like, yeah, I really want to know what's up with Aedeon. So for now, I'm, you know, pushing pause, but once I get into these books, I generally fly through them. I wasn't really into it at the time. Next, Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. This copy is signed. It was really good. I just got distracted by something else. I don't remember what. I'm pretty much exactly halfway through. And I haven't bought the sequel yet, but I would like to finish this book and the next one when I get in the mood. Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead, which is the fourth book in the Vampire Academy series. I forced myself to stop reading these books in my second year of grad school. No, first year. Yeah. In February, because I was like not doing my homework and reading these instead. So I know now I'm not in school anymore, so I could pick this up and fly through the rest of the series in probably a couple of days, but I'm not in the mood for that right now. Or at least, I don't know, it's not the right time with all of the stuff I have to do coming up, like my wedding, which is in 8 days? 9 days? Something like that. I have two more novellas in the Bane Chronicles. I have the audiobook collection of these. Sorry. So I'm trying to like read them or listen to them as I drive in the car, since I bought the audiobooks. I might actually even just get rid of this. I'm not as much of a fan of these as I am of the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy ones. Yeah, none of these are really my thing. I'm much more looking, but I'm gonna finish it. I'm much more looking forward to the Magnus Bane trilogy written for adults by Wesley Chu and Cassandra Clare. Wesley Chu was actually at the same event as Susan Dennard and V.E. Schwab that I went to, and I haven't read anything of his, but I do follow him on Twitter, and he's really funny, and so I've been wanting to read one of his books for a while. Let's go into adult fantasy, shall we? Well, adult. This is Dragonlance's Dragons of the Hourglass Mage, The Lost Chronicles Volume 3, which is all about Raceland. And I started this on my way to Japan last year, read it when I was in Japan as kind of like in case I need a touch of home. I got about halfway through. I could read this like at any point, but I'm saving it for a time when I'm just needing to have some Raceland. So that's what this is for. Next, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This was a cover by, I mean, look at it, it's really pretty. It's about a team of female researchers. I read it when I bought it from the Harvard bookstore in Boston. I really love that bookstore. The entire upstairs is full of new books and downstairs is full of used books. This was from the used section. I think it was like $7. It's in great shape. I can't wait to go back to the Harvard bookstore someday. It was really interesting. I just didn't, after the trip I didn't pick it up, but I know I will, so I haven't gotten rid of it. It's a part of a trilogy. Nora Roberts' The Dark Witch. I'm like 12 pages in. Haven't progressed. Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stieg Larsson. This is the third book in that trilogy. I have a habit with these books. I read them kind of like manically and then I get bored and stop, but I always pick it up again and finish. So I'm about, what am I, like 30 pages in or something? 56 pages. So yeah, I know I'll finish it someday. It's just not the right moment for me right now. Princess Bride by William Goldman. I love the movie. My dad bought me this book. He really tries to accept my love of fantasy novels, but still push me in kind of a classic route. So he got me this a while ago for my birthday. I'm about halfway through. I kind of enjoy it, but I think the movie is just more fun. But I might finish it someday. The Dark Elf Trilogy by R.A. Salvatore. This is a super old copy that I got used somewhere for $6. Friend Laura, who introduced me to a lot of great stuff. She told me that I would really love this series and the character Drist specifically, since I love Raceland so much. And I have tried to get into it multiple times and just haven't. Period. But I think I will someday because maybe I'm just not adult enough for it yet or something. I don't know. I mean, this edition is cool and I feel like someday will be the right time, so I'm keeping it for now. Finally, I did start A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I feel like it's right up my alley, but just not the right time. I know it's like vampires and stuff, and it's about the Bodleian Library, which I've actually read stuff that's been translated there or whatever for my master's degree and my undergrad, so it's kind of cool. I don't know. I'll finish it someday. I have the sequel as well. Next, adult literary fiction. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Really want to get to this. I'm like 8 pages in. Yeah, exactly 8 pages. Got really far in that. Christy Logan. I have both The Rental Heart, which was a gift from Erin. I really love this. The titular story, The Rental Heart, was like, oh, so good. Her writing is so awesome and I love it so much, but it's so deep that I kind of like have to take a break, which is why I'm still stuck in A Portable Shelter, which was supposed to be a buddy read between me and Erin, and she flew through it and I'm like, it's been months. I'm sorry, Erin. I'm still working on it. But it's so like emotionally, not traumatic, but just like, there's no word for it. So I'm taking my damn time. I'm on page 54. I really can't wait for her prequel novel to The Gracelings, or Gracekeepers. I am in the beginning, 50 pages in. Yeah, 50 pages seems to be my, like, get to and then flitter away to a different book spot of The Four Swans, which is, what, the sixth? Yeah, the sixth Poldark novel. We don't need to talk about Poldark, do we? I have 2 Poldark videos. If you have interest in my thoughts on Winston Graham's lovely Poldark book series, it's there. But they're there on my channel. I did start Life of Pi. It's my fiance's favorite, or not my favorite, I don't know that it's his favorite, but he said it would help me understand a lot about the way he grew up if I read it. I got 16 pages in, including that doesn't include the kind of long prologue. Maybe I should just watch the movie and then read it. I don't know. It's kind of, it's obviously important, and it's just not for me right now. I don't know. I'm not giving up, but it's a rough one. I'm how many pages away from the end of this one? Like, I'm 100 pages away, or 90 pages away from, and then there were none. Oh look, it's Poldark. Wonder if that's the reason I bought this version. This is the tie-in edition with the Lifetime series, which was really good. It has Charles Dance and all these other people. And Harper's actor Bern Gorman from Torchwood. So, the BBC always does amazing things. I really enjoyed that. I read this, I watched like one episode and then started reading this, and then I couldn't stop myself from watching the end. So I know how it ends now, and I don't really have motivation to finish this. So, but I want to because I'm so close. And then, as I called myself out on last video, Zadie Smith's Swing Time, Cherish and I bought these together. It's a beautiful book. I'm like 30 pages in, right? Maybe even 40. Oh, 24, yeah. I mean, I read this all in one shot, and it was great, the 24 pages that I read. So someday I'll finish it. I'm sorry, Cherish. And Zadie Smith, because she's a genius, and I really enjoy her books once I give them a chance. Once I get into them. They just take me a really long time. It took me like 2 years to read White Teeth, but it's great. You should read it. I guess I'm gonna cut this into fiction and nonfiction because this is already 14 minutes of film. So, last two books in the fiction category. Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman's Good Omens. What made me want to read this book was A, Neil Gaiman, and B, the podcast where Richard E. Grant interviews Neil Gaiman about this book. But if that podcast episode is still available, it's really interesting, and it made me want to read this book. And because I'm a sci-fi person anyway, I should have read this already, really. I'm about 100 pages in, so I got double the usual amount of my pages before I dropped it and went to something else, but I do want to finish it, because as big of a Neil Gaiman fan as I am, I actually haven't finished anything that he's written. But his voice is just... I'm also in Douglas Adams' The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide, the first book. I've always intended to read this. I love Douglas Adams. My family loves Douglas Adams. I'm on page 80. I started by listening to the audiobooks, which are read by Stephen Fry, and it's pretty funny, but it's because my car has no air conditioning, it's really hard to listen to audiobooks while driving because it's so loud, because I have to have the windows open since it's been 90 degrees for like ever. So I switched to paper, to physical reading, and oh god, Douglas Adams is just the funniest man. So I'll cut this video here because I feel like this is going on long enough, and the next half will be up sometime in the future, which will be all of my nonfiction books that I'm sort of into. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know which books you've kind of abandoned along your reading journey, and I'll see you in the next one. Books Data!